What is up, everyone? JD here. I hope you're all doing well today. Today, I'm going to be bringing you another top pocket knives of the week. I'm going to talk about what made it into my pocket, my theme for the week, kind of a little bit about the knife, sort of to get you that in between the initial review and the long-term review, and in case you're kind of wondering where some of the stuff in my inventory has been. I think we all get a little caught up in the newness of a knife, right? I think that one typically is the one that makes it in the pocket the most. You have the excitement, it's new, you don't have as much experience or pocket time with it. So you're happy to get that into the pocket, and it kind of happens repeatedly, right? Especially as some brands come out with quality knives that we really like, that we want to get into the inventory. So first and foremost, I'm just going to throw this up in the corner real quick. This is the organizer that one of the knives sat in while it was in my pocket. This week's theme, I wanted to carry at least one budget knife out of my inventory every day, because I think I often highlight a lot of the mid-end. I don't think they're really high-end. I think there's a lot of reviewers out there with a lot nicer knives that are a lot more expensive than what I have. But I thought it'd be fun, right, to go ahead and pick up some of these budget-friendly or high-quality budget knives that I really enjoy and like, and I just don't get it into the inventory as much. So I thought it was fun to do this week. Having said all that, let me go ahead and get into it. I'm not trying to draw the intro to the video out that long. First up, for my Cardo Monday, I thought it would be fun to break out the Savivi Elementum button lock. This is a really good knife. Very lightweight EDC. I love it because it's actually the perfect size for someone with larger hands like myself. I actually can get a full 4-finger grip. It has nice neutral ergonomics. It isn't anything too wild or outlandish, just like the Elementum, but fits really well in hand. It has a nice hollow grind, and the blade steel is 14C 28N. The hollow ground blade is done in an acid etched stone wash, which I think looks really nice. It has good geometry, so it is nice and slicey, and it is really fidgety. One of the things that I've said about this knife before is it feels more like a gravity knife than it does a button lock per se. Feels like you kind of, just let gravity do its thing when you're deploying or depressing the button. But in all honesty, everything on this knife is really good except for that pocket clip. That pocket clip, again, Savivi pocket clips, they make them come to a point, narrowing them down on the end, and it just makes it really, really pokey, and it ruins what would ultimately be fantastic ergonomics. I mean, this is just a great EDC knife. It is not going to... It'd be comfortable for heavy duty uses, but that's not really what this is intended for. This is, to me, intended to like everyday cutting purposes, getting into your boxes, cutting some loose string, maybe a couple straps or some zip ties on something that you would sporadically have to use it for, and occasionally breaking in a box down. That's what it's really going to be good for. I did trade. I had the green micarta, and I think it was also the stone wash, but I had it with the green micarta, and I wanted the black. Someone else had the green, so I did trade, but ultimately it is still the same knife, and it's really, really cool. I do like it a lot. I think it would have been way, way more popular if they would have done this with an alternate deployment method. I haven't had this in the pocket in a while, so it actually takes me a minute to remember how to kind of put my thumb on the button and push it down, and then kind of loosen the grip when it deploys. But I think people would have really, really loved that knife if it had a secondary means of deployment instead of just being locked with the button. But man, that hollow grind and the ergos on that one, really, really good. Tuesday's primary carry was actually going to be the Savivi Thug 2. I had this one in the 5th pocket, and this one is just a really cool little 5th pocket companion carry knife. It actually almost is a 4-finger grip for me. It just falls short when I just cram up into the scallop here for the knife. But again, I just really like the attitude and the aesthetics of this one. I know it's really just get into your packages and some, lighter duty cutting. But I like the attitude about it. I like the aesthetics and the look. And I think it's okay. Sometimes we just like a knife because it looks good. It may not be the best functioning. It may not have the best ergos. The ergos on this one are decent. They're not the best, but they're not awful. Again, it does have a hollow ground down here, so it can be a slicey cutter to get through whatever it is that you need. It does have the secondary tip, so labels, things like that, it's going to do really well. And then it does have a nice tip out here on the point if you have to kind of poke in to get whatever it is that you're cutting into, almost prying but not prying. It has pretty good action. I like the thumb studs on this one. The access to the lock bar is really good. And again, it's lightweight, being that it's 5th pocket. The micarta on this, so far, this is the best micarta I've seen come from Savivi. It feels really nice, has that denim texture to it. Really, really nice. I just like it a lot. They put a G10 backspacer here, and the lanyard hole, even though I don't really love lanyards, it does kind of make sense. It gives something for the pinky to kind of grab onto right there for me when I'm holding it. But it's really hard to feed this lanyard in here, being that it's a thicker lanyard. And then the G10, I kind of wish they would have done like they did on the Elementum button lock and just put the micarta in there. I think it looks better. Let's see here. And this one here, if I recall correctly, I think is done in Nitro V. And ceramic bearings in the pivot, really good action, nice detent, just a great 5th pocket carry. All right, so the companion carry I actually had in the pocket a couple times this week, so I'm just going to set it up on the top there, and I probably need to go ahead and just move everything down a little bit to make some space, and that is going to be the Rockwall. I really like this one. It is actually bigger than the Thug as far as the length. I can actually get a full 4-finger grip. It actually has a pretty good weight to it, considering that it is much more slender in profile, very much a gentleman's knife. It is thin and slicey. This one is the thumb stud version. I have found this one here, I kind of miss sometimes. Sometimes I grab the tip, which is slick, instead of actually hitting it from the bottom. But it does have enough traction with the way that they built that if you do get under the thumb stud, it'll deploy very easily. I did pick up the golf ball pattern. I really like the way that this one looks. The standard one looks good, don't get me wrong. I just liked the golf ball a little bit more than the milled pattern that's on there. This one here, again, this pocket clip, I hope that they revisit that. You know what I never have checked on that is it? It's steel. All their pins are fully titanium. Why couldn't they have thrown, especially since it's not reversible, just something that is milled, 3D milled titanium that lays flat? Oh, that would be perfect. Titanium backspacer, does have the steel lock bar in here, titanium on the show side, but that insert for the lock bar on this side is steel. Has a nice detent too, hard to fail it. Even if you press lightly, it's going to require you to push to the point where it breaks out. Really smooth action. A little bit in the beginning, I had an issue with the pivot wanting to back out, but I finally found like the right amount of Loctite without it being too much for that to go in there. I really just like that a lot, and I really hope not only do they do seasonal or limited runs, I hope that they try to do like a large or an XL or whatever they want to call it, because while this is a great size, it's borderline companion carry, 5th pocket carry for me. But I really do like that one a lot. Now let's keep it going. On Wednesday, I went with a Wharncliffe Wednesday, and I brought out the Cubist variant PE2 in micarta, 14C28N. I believe QSP is the manufacturing company on this particular knife. It has thumb studs, or not thumb studs, thumb hole for the reverse flick. Not very comfortable for the primary flick, and it has a very light detent. I need to go ahead and do the disassembly video on this because I would like to tune the detent on this. Very uncomfortable lock bar. The more time I spend with it, the more I grow to hate that lock bar, to the point where it actually has deterred me from carrying it a little bit more, which I would do because the ergos are surprisingly good. Having the large hand, the sway back actually puts it in place to where the ring finger and the pinky finger land on that, so it's very comfortable. Because it sways back naturally, I'm in a position where push cuts really work, utility draw cuts work really well, has plenty of cutting edge, pretty slicey. Not the sliciest knife, not as slicey as the hollow grinds for sure, but it does slice through the material and it cuts very well. Came with a beautiful stonewash. QSP does a great job. I think from a design perspective, that lock bar, man, I really do hate that. Even the lock bar, which is thin on the Rockwall, just because it's flat and has that jimping, so much more comfortable to actuate. Whereas just on the variant PE2, I really hate that. I love the reverse flick on it. I wish it had a little bit more bite there, because I feel like sometimes I could slip out of position for that reverse flick. And that front flipper, the more time I spend with it, I understand it's just a bonus and it's a give me, but I don't really like the confidence in my larger hands that I have when I try to front flip this particular knife. But it is a good knife and it is very well made, and it could be, again, because I have the larger hands, but man, that lock bar, my thumb was actually sore to the point where I just stopped fidgeting with the knife that day. The companion carry knife that I had with the Cubist was actually the Ohio River Jack. And this one also is a QSP knife that I really love. They did a fantastic job. I love the design, the milling, the machining. Everything is perfectly smooth. You don't have anything that stands proud. The bolsters and the titanium on the end have a very beautiful finish to them. It just really well done. M390, beautiful spear point blade. I like this a lot. I have a lot of drop points, but I do like, from a slip joint perspective, how the drop point and the spear point look on it when it has that low down drop on the drop point, or in this instance, the spear point. Just a great look. And man, the walk and talk on this is really nice. Man, it's solid. It is solid. I actually used it. Oh, you might be able to see that there. How did I have the lighting on it? You might be able to see, I actually took it across a little bit of cardboard. I got some boxes in, and when I was carrying the variant, I actually wanted to use this instead because I was kind of mad that late in the day at the lock bar. So I ended up using my Ohio River Jack. This is a Traditional Pocket Knives exclusive. You have to go to Traditional Pocket Knives website to get this one. They have the natural micarta, the green, they have the all titanium. They're, again, much bigger than some of the smaller knives. And just to give you a comparison, looking at how it compares to the Rockwall. So a little bit thicker geometry, but it is still really slicey. And I'm going to go ahead and close this so I have the room to put both the companion carries up here up top. Just really great. I like this one a lot. It feels really comfortable in hand. QSP, again, they do a really good job with their manufacturing. Really awesome. I'm going to move that over beside the Rockwall, because that's where the Rockwall was. Thursday, I went with a Titanium Thursday theme, and I decided to carry the Rockwall again as a companion, Thumb Stud Thursday, Titanium Thursday. But I actually carried my budget-friendly Tucson TS270. This one is the 14C28N variant with a beautiful stone wash. This is one of my more favorite knives. The 129 and the TS270, I think, so far are my favorite from Tucson. You're getting a little bit of a sneak peek, though. I did strip the blurple that I had on here, and I went with a little bit of a lighter blue and the bronze titanium hardware, except the bolts are not titanium. I would need to heat treat anode those, and I'm not sure if I could get them to match up, so I'm leaving it as is for now. I also extended out the finger choil here for my larger hands so that I could fit a little bit better on here. But this one is just so comfortable. It has really beautiful milling lines, and that is another reason that I wanted to go with the lighter color on this knife is to try to bring out some of the detail, the machining detail on here, which I really do appreciate the way that that looks and how that comes across, especially in person. I do have like studio lighting in here so that you guys can see the detail, but I think sometimes it's a detriment to the milling when it has certain colors and reflectivity like that. But I think it looks really good like this in this colorway. I have like the full video where I stripped it all down because I did this in a pen. That'll be coming to the channel if you're interested in that. It should be coming out the same week that I'm posting this one up. Really good geometry, good utility blade shape, really nice for draw cuts, utility cuts. Works really good in hand too if you're trying to get underneath a strap, trying to cut that loose. And then again, for your power cuts going through the cardboard, works really good. And again, nice size. It has plenty of space for my hands if I want to go back and get into a further out position if I'm doing detailed work and I want more handle control. Really great knife. I like this one a lot. It's definitely one of my favorites for sure. And I think it's barely going to fit on the screen. And I think what I have for Frame Lock Friday coming out here in a second, probably not going to be able to leave the Ohio River Jack up on the screen when I get to that point. Again, keeping with the budget friendly. So all of these knives, with the exception of the Tucson, are below 100. With my discount, I think it puts it right around $100. And then 60, I want to say this one was around 60 to 70, and then 60 to 62, somewhere in there. So again, very budget friendly, but not as budget friendly as my Frame Lock Friday carry, and that is going to be the Reich, I think I'm saying that right, P801 with 14C28N steel frame lock, very thin and slicey on ceramic bearings. This one's under $30 or right above $30. I forget which way it goes. It's either 32 or 28. I'm not 100% sure, but I know it's right around there. Really solid detent, really good action, and it has, you know, it has an okay edge from the factory, but the stone wash on it looks really good. I think this one, because I don't use it as much, I haven't had a chance to dull down the edge, and I like to usually dull down the edge before I try to put a aftermarket edge on it or my edge on it. But I think in this instance, I might go ahead and drop the angle back to like either 20 or 18. I don't go super crazy with the edges, but I do drop it down a little bit to make it a little bit more slicey. But I also like to hold up a little bit longer. So I kind of try to, I think 18 into 20 is my sweet spot where I found I kind of get both. Comfortable in hand for, you know, a large hand user. This is pretty good. This is definitely better than the Rockwall and the Riverjack, and you know, it's got good weight to it, and it feels very well made. It has really nice lockup, good access to the lock bar with plenty of jimping to get to it. So regardless of how you like to disengage your lock bar, you're going to be able to get to it really easy, and it's got really smooth action. It is definitely no guillotine at all, but it is really smooth, and I do like that one a lot. I'm just going to go ahead and move them up a little bit. So this was the companion carry today. My main carry, back in the pocket again, my Zahn. It was a grail knife. You know, I know the most expensive knives after the budget knives are going to be the Rockwall and then the Ohio Riverjack, and the Umenzahn is going to be the most expensive. So most, next most, third most. I just was missing this one, right? And Satu got his, and then my buddy Javier got one, and Lindy Lou over at Knife Modders got hers, and I was like, oh, I want to carry it. It was like I was fiending to carry this week, so I went ahead and threw it in the pocket today. And this is just such a good knife. It suits me so well. I feel like you're either a Zahn person or a Sabenza person, or you might like both. But I noticed that people that get both, I see them post more of the Zahn than I do the Sabenza, and I really understand why. For me, I feel like I just jive more with this particular knife. It's just really well done. I go back and forth on removing this. I've seen it removed, and the hole just looks weird, and I don't think I want to damage. I mean, I already kind of got rid of the tips, those two little pointy tips that hang off. I like the nub a little bit better, but I just don't want it to be loose. But I like the blue pop of color that it gives, but I think it would look better without the lanyard. So I'm really close to debating to just removing it and leaving that pin in there, but I hope that it doesn't jiggle. If it does jiggle, I'll just have to figure out a way to get around that. Awesome hollow ground blade, Tonto. You get a utility tip, the dagger out in front to puncture if you need to get like started on your cuts. You got the spoon here, which is really comfortable when you're out on the tip. You got jimping in the back if you need it, and then you get really close up to that tip when you're ready to do your power cuts. Thumb studs act as the stop bar or stop pin, and you get good access. Again, it's really tight because how the ceramic ball engages and disengages, which is why you have this lip. For me, it doesn't bother me. I've heard people say that it bothers them. I actually think this is 100 times worse than actuating this this lever here to get to the lock bar. For me, it's actually really easy to use that, and I enjoy it a lot. But that's my carry for the week. Again, how do you think I did with my budget picks? Had one in the pocket every day. Let me know which one was your favorite, and also what is your favorite that you're carrying down in the comments below. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Consider subscribing if you're not already subscribed. Make sure your notification bell is set to all, or you will miss alerts for future videos as they drop. Thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate all the support. I hope all of you have a fantastic week, and until next time, peace.